Changes are coming to Firehouse 51 in Chicago Fire Season 14, and one of them might be the separation of one of the show's most iconic duos. What we know for sure, though, is that the NBC procedural drama TV series is saying goodbye to 3 firefighters in the upcoming episodes. Additionally, Truck 81 will be taking on a new first responder. Changes are coming to Firehouse 51 in Chicago Fire Season 14, and one of them might be the separation of one of the show's most iconic duos. What we know for sure, though, is that the NBC procedural drama TV series is saying goodbye to 3 firefighters in the upcoming episodes. Additionally, Truck 81 will be taking on a new first responder. Jake Lockett's Sam Carver and Michael Bradway's Jack Damon are leaving Chicago Fire ahead of the Season 14 premiere. Meanwhile, Daniel Keary's Darren Ritter will return at the beginning of the season but is set to exit after an unspecified number of episodes. And Brandon Laraquente's Sal Vasquez is Firehouse 51's newest firefighter. However, these aren't the only big changes awaiting the characters. Mouch replaces Herman in Chicago Fire Season 14. Mouch takes over as Engine 51's lieutenant. Herman was demoted in the Chicago Fire Season 13 finale to make room for Mouch to take over as lieutenant of Engine 51. It began when Bowden said he hoped Herman would take over as Firehouse 51's chief in Season 12. However, he lacked the qualifications to lead the fire station, so Dom Pascal, played by Dermot Mulroney, took over. Mouch pushed Herman to take the captain's exam at the beginning of Chicago Fire Season 13. If he passed, he would be a captain, of course, but he'd also be one step closer to being eligible to be a chief. Since Herman, reluctantly, set down this path, Mouch decided he wanted to become a lieutenant. He could then succeed Herman on Engine 51. By the end of Chicago Fire Season 13, Mouch passed his lieutenant's test. However, when it came time for Herman to take the chief's exam, he bowed out. Herman realized he didn't want to be a chief. The desk job life just wasn't for him. With Herman's decision, though, came a very big problem. Engine 51 can only have one lieutenant. Since Herman chose not to go through with taking the chief's exam, he would have theoretically stayed on as Engine 51's leader. But he didn't want to cheat his best friend out of this opportunity. So, Herman informed Mouch that he was stepping down as Engine 51's lieutenant. Consequently, Mouch would take over his role, and Herman would be a regular firefighter again. Herman's hesitancy to hand control over to Mouch could end their friendship. Herman seemed fine with taking a demotion in Season 13. In the Chicago Fire Season 13 finale, Herman seemed happy for Mouch. It was his decision to hand control over to his best friend, after all. Of course, this meant that Herman is taking a pay cut along with relinquishing his leadership role. It's only a matter of time before Herman starts to regret his choice or resent Mouch for it. Unfortunately, it seems as though Herman's regret will start to form in the Chicago Fire Season 14 premiere. The synopsis for the upcoming episode says as much. The description of Chicago Fire Season 14, Episode 1, Kicking Down Doors, reads, "A new face at Firehouse 51 causes tension, while rising chaos in the city brings new challenges to the team. Herman stalls on plans of relinquishing his office to Mouch. The new face is referring to Vasquez, who will butt heads with his lieutenant, Stella Kidd. As for the rising chaos, fans must wait until the episode premieres to learn more details. Meanwhile, the teaser reveals that Herman will be hesitant to hand over the reins to Mouch in Season 14. Perhaps he's rethinking his decision to step down as Engine 51's lieutenant. If Herman backs down on his promise to Mouch, or even if he buries his regret and lets Mouch take over, their friendship could be headed for disaster in Chicago Fire Season 14. Herman's theoretical decision to continue as a lieutenant would anger Mouch. And if Herman doesn't express his feelings, they could build up and fester until they're out of control. Whatever the case, fans should be worried about Herman and Mouch's relationship in Chicago Fire Season 14. The lieutenant situation could easily result in a huge fight between the two best friends, leading to a fallout. Based on the premiere's description, a breakup could happen as early as Episode 1. How Herman and Mouch can overcome this obstacle in Season 14. Herman and Mouch have too much history for this to be the end. It appears as though conflict and tension are inevitable for Herman and Mouch in Chicago Fire Season 14, the circumstances make it so. However, that doesn't mean their friendship has to end for good. Herman and Mouch have so much history and love for one another that it's difficult to imagine them hating and resenting one another forever. The two Chicago Fire characters will undoubtedly encounter significant speed bumps in the episodes to come, but they can overcome them by simply talking to each other and maturely expressing their feelings. Unfortunately, that doesn't exactly make for good TV. Chicago Fire Season 14 will likely put Herman and Mouch through the ringer before they make amends. Chicago Fire returns with Season 14 on Wednesday, October 1st, at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, following the premiere of Chicago Med Season 11 at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and preceding the debut of Chicago PD Season 13 at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC. Enjoy Screen Rant's primetime coverage? Click below to sign up for our weekly network TV newsletter. Make sure to check Network TV in your preferences and get the inside scoop from actors and showrunners on your favorite series. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe my sister wives to our channel and stay with TS.